Cafe News Network, the only news network that is guaranteed to blow your mind. Okay, we need to get real because this involves a serious issue. And right now we gotta ask ourselves a hard question. Is there any merit to the idea that police encounters bring about disproportionate stereotype threat between races? Now, if you don't know what a stereotype threat is, it is the expectation of unfair judgment and or treatment due to negative stereotypes. These are stereotypes that can arise from, say, movies or TV shows or news media. Now, as outlined in an article published by Najowski, Goff, and Bottoms, there were 2 studies conducted on the matter. Let's take a look at them, shall we? Study number 1 concerns how black men versus white men felt around police encounters, and that study found that black men were significantly more likely than white men to report a stereotype threat. Now, study number 2 is where participants were asked to imagine the implications of specific hypothetical police encounters. And that study found that black men were significantly more likely than white men to imagine themselves reacting non-verbally and with more anxiety. And here's the real kicker. That anxiety, the study also found that anxiety can also translate into more suspicious-looking behavior. And that doesn't bode well if police are looking out for suspicious-looking behavior and they happen to be looking at you, even though you've done nothing wrong, you're just acting a little nervous. And that is a real problem, because no one gets to choose what color of skin they were born with. But unfortunately, some real people do have to live in fear that negative stereotypes are essentially framing them for something they have never done. And this leads to the fear of being harassed by policemen or worse. And if we want to build a better society for everyone, we really need to keep those issues in mind. I'm getting some breaking news. Let's send it over.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm here with Sarah to ask her a few questions on stereotype, threat, and racial differences and citizens' experiences of police encounters. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Samantha.
All right, the first question I'm going to ask you is, how do you feel when you see or have to talk to a police officer?
Oh, well, to be honest, at first I used to see Cloud as a protector and someone I could feel safe around to talk to, but nowadays it's just completely changed because as a black person, they tend to judge us before they even know us, so it doesn't really apply to every cops, but majority of them tend to do the same thing. But it's like we don't even feel safe anymore because everything we say will be used against us, so we have to make sure we said the right thing. So it just don't feel safe anymore.
Okay, I understand that. All right, so what changes would you like to see with police officers when it comes to our community?
I would love for police officers to treat everybody the same, equally and fairly.
Okay.
And everybody get the same treatment accordingly to the law, not above and beyond the law, to make everybody feel the same.
All right. So do you believe people of different racial backgrounds experience police interactions differently? If so, how?
True. Yes, they do get treated differently because as I said earlier, as a black person, they tend to judge us so quickly compared to other races. We don't get the same treatment as them. So they don't respect us as much and they respect them more.
All right. Thank you, Sarah.
Excuse me, sir. Can I ask ask you a couple questions?
Yes, ma'am.
They're going to be like about racial differences when it comes to police officers. So the first question is, how do you feel when you see or have to talk to a police officer?
Feel it gives me mixed emotions. Sometimes I feel safe, sometimes nervous. Yeah.
Okay. Second question is, what changes would you like to see with police officers when it comes to our community?
They can be more respectful.
Okay. Okay, great. Third question, last question. Have you ever witnessed police brutality? If so, how did it make you feel?
No, I have not, but I have heard and seen stories, and that makes me feel like empty.
Empty and sad? Right. Okay. And that's it for today. I hope you have a great day, sir. Thank you so much.
You too, ma'am.
Today I have questions about stereotype threats and racial differences in police encounters. First question is, how do you feel when you see or have to talk to a police officer?
When I see a police officer or have to talk to a police officer, sometimes I'm nervous, scared. I don't know what they're gonna do. Even though I might not be doing anything wrong, I still be a little cautious, nervous, scared.
Second question is, what changes would you like to see with police officers when it comes to our community?
When it comes to the community, I would like to see, a better response time when you call the police. I would like to see them show up at a, decent time instead of, 30 minutes after the fact.
And third question is, last question. Have you ever witnessed police brutality? If so, how did it make you feel?
Yeah, I witnessed police brutality, a couple times. And it just made me feel, sad, scared of the fact, that a police officer would do something like that. And, and when I see the police officer and, and the situation going on, I know I would rather get out of there instead of being around the situation.
Hi guys, my name is Sophia Jean, and as we go deeper into this topic of police stereotypes, I'm going to get into our second article of this video. First and foremost, I'd like to say thank you to our interviewers for finding all these lovely people, and now that got to show us, not everyone has, the same thought process, so it was cool to see how everyone answered these questions, and seeing everyone's point of view, really opened up our minds. So now let us dive into the second article, which is a 2019 study titled The Force of Fear, Police Stereotype Threat, Self-Legitimacy, and Support for Excessive Force by Trinkner, Karrison, and Goff, explores how psychological pressure can shape police behavior during encounters. In the study, researchers surveyed over 700 police officers, measuring their fear of being perceived as racist, their confidence in their authority known as self-legitimacy, and their attitudes toward the use of force. The results showed that officers who worried more about being seen as racist often had lower confidence in their authority. That reduced confidence was linked to a greater likelihood of supporting or using excessive force. Researchers say this creates a cycle where fear leads to uncertainty, and uncertainty can lead to more forceful actions as officers try to regain control, which is very true. This challenges the idea that concern about appearing biased would automatically lead to more cautious behavior. Overall, the study highlights how internal thoughts and social pressures can influence real-world policing decisions, adding to the broader conversation about stereotype threat and its impact on both officers and civilians. To be more specific, this study had actually surveyed 784 police officers in a large urban department, which measured the fear of appearing racist, confidence in authority, which is also known as self-legitimacy, and its attitudes toward use of force. With that being said, this article helped us to dive deeper into this whole topic, getting to see what really goes on through a police's mind. Because as we know, this topic is a topic that not many people like to touch base on because it's a very touchy subject. You know, it could have people feeling certain types of way, but it's good for us to get out of our comfort zone and really open our mind to think about these things that really happen in real life. So thanks to our interviewers in anchor number 1, we now get to, dive deeper into this topic and really understand all that's going on. With that being said, we thank you guys for watching our video and listening to us talk about police stereotypes. And we hope you have a great day. This is news anchor number 2, Sophia Jean, signing out. Bye, guys.